Assalamualaikum. My name is SURAYA binti SUPIAN, and I will be the first presenter. We are from Group 1, and for our topic, for our presentation, we were given ASEAN Political Security Community, what benefit ASEAN members. In our group, we have 6 members, which is KHALYSHAH, MAIZATUL NAZIRAH, AIMAN, WAHIDA FARIZA, ATIKAH, and me, SURAYA binti SUPIAN. First, ASEAN can be known as the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, which is a regional grouping in Southeast Asia, like is mentioned in the name. It has 10 members, which is Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines, Cambodia, Brunei, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. In the ASEAN community, there are several communities, which is political, security, economic, social, cultural, Asian connectivity, and even more. In this discussion, political security will be topic where its aim is in ensuring the members to live at peace with one another and the rest of the world in a very democratic and harmony environment. The blueprint of the community has stated that the ASEAN Political Security Community, or ASPC, focuses on having the members to be living in peace. That's the focuses, and being stable and prosperity while bonding with one another in towards of having a dynamic development within the caring society. All member of the ASEAN pledges that they will go through a peaceful process whenever it comes to a settlement of their interregional differences and regard of their security, especially since they are linked to one another and bound by the geographic location that they have.
Assalamualaikum, my name is KHALYSHAH MUKHLIS, and I'll be presenting about the main factors of ASEAN Political Security Community. The first main factor is to promote regional peace and stability. This can be said as one of the integration between the ASEAN countries. And ASEAN also has formulated several agreements and concepts to improve and maintain its peace and stability, which is ZOFAN, TAC, and SHAH-WFZ. ZOFAN means Zone of Peace, Freedom, and Mutuality, and it is a declaration that has been made in Kuala Lumpur in 1975. This declaration stresses more about the importance of the ASEAN countries to commit in maintaining peace and freedom in the region. TAC means the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia, and this agreement was established during the first ASEAN Summit in Bali in 1976. This also based on the aspiration in promoting the region's peace and stability. It mentioned more about the ASEAN countries should respect each member's sovereignty and also promoting the cooperation of its members. SHAH-WFZ means Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapon Free Zone, is one of the key components of ZOFAN, and this agreement mentioned about the commitment in preserving the regions as a free nuclear weapon and other mass construction. The second main factor is to protect the human rights in the region. As we know that human rights is a fundamental basis for every peace, stability, and sustainable development. Therefore, ASEAN has established the Committee of Social Development, COSD, in 1978. And COSD has formulated and recommended programs and strategies to secure the regional peace, particularly in human rights. For example, the rural development and poverty eradication, social welfare and development, children and youth, women's rights, and labor and employment in the region. Third factor is to have a good cooperation in political development. Cooperation in political development will bring to maturity to the political elements and institutions in ASEAN. Interstate solidarity also can be achieved by having a good political cooperation among the members. And if the members can cooperate well to each other, the objective that they wanted to achieve in order to have a peace and stable region can be achieved. Therefore, the understanding and appreciation of political system, culture and history of the ASEAN members are very important. Fourth main factor is to prevent and combat corruption in the region. The Southeast Asia is known as the fastest growing in economies. Therefore, combating the corruption is important to sustain the growth and reducing the income inequality in the region. Other than that, it also will enhance the transparency as well as to enforce the accountability among the members of ASEAN. Last main factors is to prevent any conflict from happening between the ASEAN countries. ASEAN is committed in preventing the conflict in the region from happening. Having a good diplomacy among the members of states is important to prevent any disputes from arise between them. Just like what ASEAN has promoted in TAC, ZOFAN and SHAH, the members of states should refrain from threatening and using any kind of force between them, as it will preserve the region's peace and stability. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is AIMAN binti SHAHFIEE. In this slide, I will discuss about the benefits of ASEAN members through the ASEAN Political Security Community. The first benefit of the ASEAN Political Security Community is all ASEAN members together to enhance cooperation against terrorism. This can be seen through the effectively implementation the ASEAN Convention on Counter-Terrorism and the ASEAN Comprehensive Plan of Action on Counter-Terrorism. This effort can improve the moderation agenda and violence prevention programs in ASEAN to counter radicalism and extremism, such as through the sharing of experience and the best practices in de-radicalization, rehabilitation, and re-education to avoid and reduce terrorist activities. Also, this can work together to reduce tensions and prevent large-scale conflicts, causes of terrorism between the region. This benefit can be obtained by all states members in initiative to expand regional counter-terrorist capability through exchange the information and intelligence, as well as investigating how to incorporate international anti-terrorism convention into ASEAN frameworks for combating international terrorism. For example, following the terrorist attacks in Bali, Indonesia, and Philippines in 2002, which killed 216 civilians and wounded 419 more, the significance of advancing the aims and activities specified in 2001 Declaration of Joint Action was re-emphasized. Secondly, ASEAN members strengthen the maritime security and promote maritime cooperation. The implication that had been done, such as in maintaining the South China Sea in order to preserve the peace, prosperity, and cooperation within the ASEAN members and China, by having intensified engagement and consultation between ASEAN and China on South China Sea issues that include the Declaration on the Conduct (DOC) of parties in the South China Sea and Code of Conduct (COC) in the South China Sea. In result, this can be lead to resolve territorial and jurisdiction conflicts among parties involved, which are between China, Taiwan, Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei, by having a peaceful dialogue and negotiation between sovereign countries directly involved without resorting to the threat or use of force. Throughout the establishment of DOC and COC, this effort can be carried out possible collaborative actions, measures, and projects based on consensus among the parties involved that include freedom of navigation and overflight above the South China Sea in accordance with universally recognized principles of international law, including the 1982 UN CLOS. Thirdly, the benefits of all ASEAN members through the cooperation on disaster management and emergency response. Throughout in handling unexpected situation or scenario in the region, such as natural disaster and emergencies, by establish the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response (AADMER) as the main common platform for disaster management. Through this effort, this is to boost joint effective and timely response at the political and operational levels in engaging the region disasters management to assist concerned ASEAN members in the event of significant disasters, as well as establishment for standard operating procedure for regional standby agreements and coordination of joint disaster relief and emergency response operations by establish effective procedures for achieving significant reductions in disaster losses in the ASEAN state members of social, economic, and environmental assets. Okay, for example, ASEAN humanitarian assistance handed over USD 1.1 million worth of medical supplies and equipment ready to distribute by Myanmar Red Cross Society for immediate support to the COVID-19 response. Last but not least, the ASEAN members has preserved as a region free of nuclear weapons and other weapons of mass destruction. Based on this effort, this is because of the effective establishment of Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapon Free Zone shown WFC Treaty and its plan of actions by specific programs and projects. Based on the intensify the ongoing efforts of the shown WFC treaties, states, parties, and nuclear weapons states to settle all outstanding problems relevant to the signature and ratification of the protocol to the treaty in conformity with the shown WFC treaties, aims, and principles. Through the treaty obligations, states parties must not develop, produce, or otherwise acquire, own, or control nuclear weapons, station nuclear weapons, test or use nuclear weapons anywhere inside or beyond the treaty zone that covers the territories and the EEZ of the state parties within the zone. This is to promote the awareness of the nuclear weapon free ones and encourage cooperation and coordination among state parties, as well as sharing experience and best practices to realize a nuclear weapons free world. That's all from me. Thank you.
The first challenge is the increasing influence of China's superpowers in the South China Sea. It could give the challenge towards the maritime landscape while having a fairly significant impact on the region. Malaysia, Philippines, Brunei Darussalam, and Vietnam are vying for territory in the South China Sea with China. Those countries, with the exception of Brunei, had to face Chinese ships on its territorial boundaries. China is also said not to have recognized the International Arbitrary Court's decision in 2016, which overturned Beijing's claim that its territorial sovereignty over most of the South China Sea. Next, to build the ASEAN political security community. Internal conflict, terrorism, and insurgency in ASEAN countries have been cited as plausible factors that could hinder regional integration. For example, are the issue of the rise of militant groups linked to Al-Qaeda and the involvement of some Malaysians in the bombing in Indonesia. In addition, there are struggles involving Islamic extremists in parts of Indonesia, southern Thailand, and the southern Philippines. The conflict have become more complicated over time as they involve issue of systematic ideology of nationalism and religious identity, as well as the problem of separatists who have proved almost impossible to solve. Other than that, the challenge is to protect of human rights. The Rohingya crisis, one of the most heartbreaking examples of ASEAN's inability to protect human rights in the area. The United Nations has even declared the Rohingya crisis is one of the world's greatest and fastest growing refugee crises, as well as a serious humanitarian disaster.
Assalamualaikum. My name is FARIZA binti WASILAH. My matrix number 2020-452-666, and I'm going to present about lesson learned. The first point is stability and peace of the region are protected, which is ASEAN introduced regional cooperation, which is zone of peace, freedom and neutrality, which is ZOFAN. It was established in 1967 during Cold War. The declaration of ZOFAN has been done at Kuala Lumpur on 27 November 1971 by 5 leaders of ASEAN members, which is Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore and Thailand. Okay, moreover, ASEAN focus on solving the problem through peaceful manner and cooperate in solving non-traditional issues that happen. Non-traditional issues such as arms smuggling, cybersecurity, money laundering, crime and many others. ASEAN also has implemented the nuclear weapon-free and cooperate to enhance maritime security and any issues that is related with it, which is the cooperation of ASEAN member maritime and to ensure the security of the maritime. Next is work together to combat corruption. Southeast Asia Parties Against Corruption (CPAC) has been established on 15 December 2004. The Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) on cooperation for preventing and combating corruption, which was signed by anti-corruption agencies from Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia and Singapore. Okay, ASEAN countries as developing countries has received a lot of foreign direct investments, and the percentage for the corruption to happen also high. ASEAN has joined regional seminar on effective measures for the private sector to prevent bribery on 2 to 3 August 2018. It was organized by UNDOC together with the National Anti-Corruption Commission, the Thai Institute of Directors and the American Bar Association in Pattaya, Thailand. Okay, there is recent corruption issues that has been highlighted that make the leaders to voice out their opinion on how to combat the corruption issue during the seminar. For example, the Rolls-Royce has committed bribery in 2018 at Thailand, where Rolls-Royce has paid 663.3 million baht to the local companies that handle with the sales, distribution and maintenance in Thailand, or in simple words, it called as regional intermediaries. Some of the money were given to the agents of the state of Thailand and the employees of Thai Airways, and they need to act according to the Rolls-Royce favor, which is to purchase of T800 engines by Thai Airways. The next point is it promotes the protection of human rights. ASEAN has established human rights body, which is ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission on Human Rights (AICHR) by the ASEAN leaders, which is Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. It was established on 23 October 2009 during the 15th ASEAN Summit in Cham Hua Hin, Thailand. Okay, the main purpose of the body is to demonstrate the commitment of ASEAN in making the strategies in order to strengthen the regional cooperation on human rights. ASEAN Human Rights Declaration in 2012 that has been signed by the ASEAN leaders is a clear evidence for the ASEAN countries to cooperate in promoting and protecting their human rights. For example, in terms of general principles, which is all persons are born free and equal in right and dignity, and they have right to be recognized as a person anywhere, and many others in terms of civil and political rights, such as every person has important rights to life and need to be protected by law, and also every person has rights to personal liberty and security, and others. In terms of economic and social and cultural rights, which is they have right to join trade union to protect their rights of their choice and to form the trade union. Also, no child or young person should be exploited in economic and social. There's also right to development, right to peace and cooperation in promotion and protection of human rights. Last point is it promotes understanding and appreciation of the political system, culture, and the history of ASEAN member countries. Okay, every ASEAN member states have different type of political system that they implement, which is there is a country that implement democracy, republic, communism, and monarchy. Okay, moreover, the culture of each states also different, and mutual understanding is important to prevent any issues such as their traditional clothes, traditional foods, traditional ways of conduct to pray, and many others. Every ASEAN country also have different history, especially before they have achieved independence, where the countries such as Brunei and Thailand have never been colonized, so they need to ensure that sensitivity of colonization should not become a joke talk by their citizens. Also, there is ASEAN Declaration on Cultural Heritage that has been signed by the leaders on 25th July 2000 at Bangkok, Thailand. In the declaration, it mentions that the protection on national treasure and cultural properties such as building and artifact, cultural landscape, and many others. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, I'm NAZIRAH. So for this presentation, we can conclude that the ASEAN political security community plays an important role in ensuring that all the members of ASEAN are living in peace and harmony, which is aligned with their objective. We also identify that APSC can ensure that ASEAN members to work together in order to address the problem and conflict, and also to combat any challenges of establishing regional security in the Southeast Asia. Moreover, APSC creates a strong entity to other countries so that it is easy for ASEAN members to communicate or pursue with each other. ASEAN Political Security Committee also can be used as a guideline for the committee members so that they will follow the guideline and will not act outside of their boundaries. Therefore, all of the parties need to work together and ensure that they live in peace and united without creating any conflict. That's all from us. Thank you.